Well, what a wonderful day for our Episcopal School celebration and Holy Communion service. I am so glad that you are all here with us today. And I want to point out, to start, something I noticed in our bulletin. All right, first on the back, there's been that slip at the bottom over the past weeks for those here at St. Martin's, where Matthew has asked us to actually rip apart our bulletin and write in the line how we want St. Martin's to be known in the community. So you might write, we want St. Martin's to be known in the community for being the most Jesus-centered church in Severna Park. But then if we turn to the cover, we find a word map of all the responses that we've gotten so far about where we hear God calling us to be at St. Martin's. And the two big words we've got up here are welcoming. We want St. Martin's to be known as a welcoming church. And then the next one, biggest, is loving. We want St. Martin's to be known as a loving church. Now, completely unrelated, if we turn our bulletin to the first page, we've got this fantastic description of the mission of our school. We've got some wonderful pictures of our school at life. But there in the mission it says, we create a welcoming community, encouraging each individual to grow in confidence, character, and compassion, grounded in the knowledge that each is a child of God. So here we see, unrelated, the school submitting its mission to be welcoming, to be compassionate, to be loving. I think it turns out we have a common mission here, right? We have a common mission, and that is so exciting that God is calling the church and its school to the same mission, to be welcoming and loving and known to the Severna Park and Anne Arundel County and the surrounding area for being a loving and welcoming church and school community. And so today, as we look at the theme that we have for Episcopal School Sunday, which is God is at work in you, we can remember that we have a common mission. So to that theme, God is at work in you. This comes from Paul's letter to the Philippians. Now it's helpful to know what Paul is talking about in Philippians by the context. What's going on in Paul's world? When Paul writes this letter, he's not writing a happy, these are good times, happy birthday letter. No, Paul's in prison. These are tough times. These are bad times. Paul's the man who started this church in Philippi. And the people that he's writing to, they're scared. They're confused. There might even be a little dissension in the ranks. What are we going to do? Who are we called to be? And so Paul writes this letter to the Philippians to console them, to comfort them, and to give them a common mission. And a common mission is something that the people of Philippi could understand. You see, Philippi is only 2 generations removed from a major battle involving the Romans. So there was this major battle, and the Romans won. They ended the war. And so there's a whole bunch of soldiers that are really excited that they won the war, and they want to keep doing more stuff. And the Romans, they say, well, we can't bring a bunch of fired up soldiers back to Rome. We got to figure something else out. And so they started this colony for veterans, for retired soldiers in Philippi. So 2 generations later, this is a place where you would have retired officers. This was a place where people understood things like common mission and citizenship. And so that's where Paul goes in his letter. He says, you have a common mission. God is at work in you. So this is his message to the Philippians. God is at work in you. And so don't argue or grumble. And then shine like the stars. Shine like the stars. So first, this piece, God is at work in you. Paul saw in the Philippians God at work in spreading the gospel. And you know what? That's not just true for the Philippians. I see God working in you too. I see God working at St. Martin's School. I see God working at St. Martin's Church. And you know, it's one of the great privileges that I have to be both the chaplain and the associate, is that I get to connect so deeply and so wonderfully with everyone at the church and with everyone at the school, with the entire St. Martin's community. And so I can see where God is at work in the church and where God is at work in our school. And God is at work in our school in so many ways. I see it in the students who have taken in a lot of that welcoming and loving culture. And it's something that goes beyond just, holding the doors, although that's great. It's wonderful that students hold doors for each other. But even just in the first month, I've seen moments where one student says to another who's upset, "It's going to be okay." I've seen already on a trip out at Camp Letts where one kid, they weren't sure if they wanted to keep going. They weren't sure if they wanted to keep doing the activity. They were kind of off to the side. But you know what another kid did? They said, "It's okay. Come with me. We'll do this together." God at work in our students at St. Martin's. Then there's the faculty, the teachers, and the staff. They have so embraced this mission of welcoming and loving students. Yes, the academics are important, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond having a special call, a special mission that they live out to those students. A lot of schools, church schools our size, don't have multiple teachers with a background in special education. Many schools, our school size, do not have a full-time counselor. But you know what? Our school is so committed to welcoming everyone, so committed to being a place where people are included, where people are empowered, regardless of who they are, regardless of what challenges they may face, that they embrace that mission of reaching out to all students, special needs, and everyone. And that is such a wonderful thing. And just this year, they've started new diversity initiatives. Again, welcoming, loving students. And then finally, of course, we have the prayer and sacramental life at the school, where God is at work. Not every Episcopal school has chapel every week. Not every Episcopal school offers communion on the regular basis. Not every Episcopal school is okay with their chaplain saying Jesus a lot. But you know what? Your Episcopal school is. I don't have to proclaim the gospel with my arm tied behind my back. And that is a wonderful, beautiful thing. God is at work in your school, and God is changing lives in your school. Your school is changing lives. I guarantee it. But you know what else? I see God at work in the wider church too. I see God at work in the many outreach and service ministries that we have here at St. Martin's. Every week in that kitchen down the hall, somebody is cooking meals for those who are hungry. Every summer, we have the Appalachian Service Project where youth, adults can go on a trip and serve others in Appalachia, building homes and refurbishing homes. We have so many outreach activities here where we reach out in loving service to others. God is at work in our fantastic children's ministry. We've just started a new opening welcome time where the kids come. Just this morning, they were making a joyful noise to the Lord with all kinds of musical instruments, and then moving on to their classes. Our youth ministry is exciting. We just had a group come back from a pilgrimage to Greece where they could see God in a new way and in a new place. And then, of course, there's the life of prayer, the worship, the sacraments, the pastoral care. And then there's the ways in which the people of the church here at St. Martin's stand up and get to work in common mission. This is not we'll just leave this all to the priest kind of church. And that's a good thing. We have Sunday school teachers who are working every week. We have people serving on the altar. We have people doing outreach ministries. I could go on and on and on. This is a place where people can get involved, where people can do things. And I just want to say, if you're part of the parish, but you're not familiar with our school, learn more about it and how you can support it. And if you have a kid, good stuff's happening over there. Maybe even check out, send them. If you're at the school, involved in that school community, but you haven't been very involved with what's going on at the church, the parish, check us out. You don't have to come just on Episcopal School Sunday. You're invited every week. Come and see and be a part of so many of the wonderful things that we've got going and the many ways in which God is at work among us here. God is at work among you at St. Martin's School and church. Then we get to St. Paul's second point. Don't argue or grumble. Don't argue or grumble. He's telling the Philippians, hey, we got a little bit of a crisis right now. Things aren't great. But don't let that separate you from your common mission. In other parts of Philippians, he says, live your lives in a manner worthy of the gospel. Live gospel lives. Stand firm in one spirit. Strive side by side with one mind. And then he says, shine like stars. Shine like stars. Be beacons of unity in a world of polarization. And it was polarized then, it's polarized now. In the midst of that, we can shine like stars and be beacons of unity. And in a world with so much fear and anger, you are called, all of you, to be emblems of faith, hope, and love. I mean, you want to shine like stars, right? God has given you, me, all of us a choice today. We can live in that darkness. We can live in division, or we can shine like stars in the world. God has a dream for you today. God has a dream that no matter what has happened in your life, no matter what struggles that you are facing, He still has a dream for you. God can still be at work in you to love others, to welcome others. And God has a dream for St. Martin's School and Church, that we will work together in our common mission that we said is our common call, to be welcoming and to love one another.